Good afternoon, beautiful people of planet Earth. Here we are again at Sacred Space, Titania's realm, on a scathing hot Brisbane day. Currently 33 degrees Celsius at 12:03 p.m. on the 8th of December 2024. So drink lots of water, people of Earth. Stay hydrated. Use sunscreen, although I don't particularly like sunscreen. I think it's carcinogenic. But I, have to resort to it on hot days like this if I'm out in the sun because of my very, very, very fair complexion and freckles and my proclivities to sprout skin cancers. So it can be a bit humbling and mortifying and excruciating having to submit to the tender mercies of skin doctors hacking away at your flesh, removing the offending cancerous protrusions. Just saying. Still not quite over some of the ministrations I had in the past, but yes, I'm going to have to go and get these things on my forehead checked and get a thorough skin check because I'm overdue. I was supposed to go at the end of September. So I've been a very naughty, very, very naughty Mama Tanya. But I will do it. I just don't know if I'm going to do it before Christmas or after Christmas. But I will do it. I can hear my psychiatrist yelling at me if he watches my videos, which I think he does see some of them, because he's the reason he demanded during the COVID epoch, insisted with great insistence and emphasis that I go and get my skin checked because one of his patients, who was quite young, only 33, had avoided going to get skin checks and was dying of advanced melanoma. So he freaked out that I would have the same fate. And I did not want to go near doctors at all during the COVID epoch, the height of it, 2021, even up to 2022. I even smashed my hand very badly, the swishy part of my hand, with a 2-pound mallet when I misjudged instead of hitting the silver flatware I was working on. Caught myself a beauty all up there, and the pain was fucking incredible. And how did I react? Like a primal wild animal. There's still a very slight, you can't see it on camera, but there's still a very slight shadow of where the bruise originally was. It's never completely gone away. But anyway, what did I do? Like a lunatic, like a berserker Viking lunatic, which is a bit astonishing, people of Earth, what I'm capable of under extreme situations. I went out into the back garden with my hand, holding it, going, ah! Screaming, ran around in circles, saw stars, got very dizzy and faint, fell on the ground, was rolling around on the ground. This was in broad daylight in the middle of the day. Fortunately, most of my neighbours were at work, or some lunatic might have decided to take me to a hospital anyway, where I for sure would have been medazzolined and barbiturated to death. That's why I didn't go. Anti-government, revolutionary, anarchist, this is what happens to people for less. Some of them were quite docile, compliant people, took themselves off to hospital and got removed off this planet quite horrifically for not even doing anything wrong, just seeking medical treatment, which is their human right, by the way. So I chose not to seek medical treatment in that instance, and by the gods it hurt, and I was kind of lucky. Like there probably are some kind of fractures in that part of the bone, but I was kind of lucky that I don't think I did any major breaks, and I can still move my hand, but by the gods it hurt. And the funny part was me running around in circles, going round and round in circles before I finally kind of went into a semi-faint. Anyway, that experience taught me that I'm very brave, but also a bit idiotic, to be honest, because probably wouldn't have been silly to go and get it checked out. I discovered my toenail where I smashed my second toe a couple of weeks ago. Here under my desk, really smashed it. The toenail was like coming off, and that was also extremely fucking painful. So there's some damage to my poor toes, which are always in some kind of dreadful state. So what can I say, people of Earth? Life goes on. We keep fighting every day in our own body, mind and spirit. And we just live our best lives, no matter what, no matter who, including our minor injuries. I guess it was a minor injury since it sort of healed. But yeah. The Tanya in full Viking berserker mode, in almost an altered state, because I was actually working on my jewellery and I was in the zone and I was in kind of an altered state when I smashed myself, in that kind of trance state you go to when you're so hyper-focused on a project. Artists and musicians and dancers will understand what I'm talking about. Makes me a little bit superhuman at times. It's a bit astonishing. Anyway, I've decided, I've just washed my hair as well because I sweated so much in my wild moshing dance on Friday night that my hair was a bit lank and awful today, so I washed my hair and it's cooling me down a bit too. Got the aircon on, and oh, did I mention all my lawns got mowed yesterday, which was an epic task for the two men, because they've been allowed to grow too long because waiting to get new lawnmower people. Anyway, I'm very happy. That's all under control. So I'm happy because my home and my sacred space garden is perfection, how I like it. And yeah, the hair's washed, I'm awake, I'm functioning, and it's a beautiful day, although a day that can potentially kill people. So yes, as I said, full circle, wear sunscreen if you're out in the hot sun, and a hat, drink lots of water, and stay healthy and happy, people of Earth. And avoid the kind of trance states where you're so hyper-focused that you don't realise you're about to smash your own feckin' hand, and well, that was awful. But sometimes these are teaching things from the spirits to remind you to preserve your health and your body and your vitality and your vigour. There's nothing like pain or a misadventure that causes minor injury to remind you that you're a spirit having a human experience, or alternately, a human having a spiritual experience, and as above, so below, as within, so without. But there's certain philosophies that say everything is illusion and none of this reality is real. But if you've ever given birth, or gentlemen have passed a kidney stone, the physical body is indeed very real while you're in it, and occasionally lets you know how real it is. So anyway, on that note, I thought I would read Folk Tales from the Russian. It's a free resource I found on the internet, so if you want to read along with me, I just googled free resources Russian folk tales, and this is what came up. And it is part of the Project Gutenberg ebook, because I like to give credit to other people's academic or creative endeavours. That's fair play. And the stories, Folk Tales from the Russian, retold by Vera de Blumenthal. But here it says in more detail, retold by Vera Xenofontovna Kalamatiano di Blumenthal. Boise State University Library, printed in the United States of America, Great Neck, New York. Don't mention the neck, people of Earth. My neck's actually okay, like, considering that I kind of gave it a good shaking up and down on Friday again. So I must be building strength in that muscle that I tore about a month or so ago. I know, naughty, very naughty. Anyway, I'll read you the foreword because it's short and I kind of like it. Let me just try and make the print bigger because it's hard to read with my eyes. In Russia, as elsewhere, excuse me, as elsewhere in the world, folklore is rapidly scattering before the practical spirit of modern progress. Preserve your stories, people of Earth. Write your own diaries, or journals, or however you want to call it, your own self-expression. Maintain your truth and your reality, your life experiences, for as long as you possibly can, as long as you have cognition. Be your own personal archivist of experiential awareness, putting it delicately, because it has value to other people, perhaps younger people that haven't experienced what you've experienced, to have touchstones or guiding posts to see that you can and will, by force of will alone sometimes, survive anything and be an inspiration and a muse or a teacher or a guide to others that are going through similar experiences. And we're all humans having spiritual lives, but we're stuck in 3D reality on planet Earth, so make the best of it and leave behind your stories because they are so precious and so valuable to others that stumble across them, need to hear their messages. Providing you're writing things that are of universal, practical and philosophical use to the human and the spirit experience, something that people can relate to and grow from, grow through, or grow over. I hope I'm making sense. My brain sometimes does little flippity gibbets when it's very, very hot. My brain's not wired like other people's because of my own experiential awarenesses growing up and in my 20s and 30s right up to my 40s actually. But it's okay, it is what it is, and today I am the woman I am today, probably because of the sum total of all those horrific experiences, and life is beautiful, and if I have any say in it, co-creating with the gods as I do, it will only continuously become more and more beautiful and powerful and magical and wondrous, and maybe one day even have a wonderful partner to share life with. Yes, even though I'm an older woman, that's still my goal. With harm to none and competition with none. So it is done. To my beautiful ones who do love me, my platonic friends and nurture me along as they do. It's quite astonishing how they have created a space for me to be my highest expression of my body, mind and soul. I just wish the sweet little matchmakers who think that they're doing the right thing just would not, because it's not good for my mental health. It enrages me and sets me back. And if those people that are trying to indulge in that had ever read any of my journaling on vocal media, they would know why. The extreme cumulative damage that was wrought by people interfering in my own choices and my own will and setting me up with people who were dangerous, monstrous at worst, or lackluster, acopic and inadequate at best. So Mama T is not like other people. She stayed alone. I myself, me, has stayed alone for 30 years, not by accident, but it was the only way I could survive the last 30 years. I'm going to take a partner into my body, mind and spirit, share my life with him and perhaps my home with him, which would be weird since I live in Housing Commission and Disability Pension. Whoever that person would really be slumming it here at my Sacred Space Titania's Realm garden. But if I'm going to share my life with a human man, he has to be magical, he has to be highly intelligent, he has to be kind and noble and honouring of me, and vice versa. If we're going to share a home, either this home or some other home, and be intimate partners in our life together as a couple, he has to be a good, kind, honouring, noble man with deep love for me. Otherwise, it will never work and can never work. And historically, there used to be so much fucking viciousness and envy and sabotage. Every time I had a partner, it was sabotaged actually by friends or acquaintances on both our sides. And so whoever I invite into my body, mind, spirit complex, his friends and family and business associates have to at best at worst accept me, or at best love me as much as he does. Well, maybe not certainly not in a sexual way, but love me as an agape love and acceptance. Otherwise, it doesn't work. If you're in a relationship where everyone outside of that relationship hates you and undermines you at every turn, which I have experienced in the past over and over and over again, it's not tenable. It's not, no matter how much you love that person, it can never work out. Ergo, I've chosen to remain alone for my own sanity and safety. I'm not happy about it, but I accept that may be my my fate or my karmic path or whatever it is. But I like to try and push myself off that trolley though, because I'm only human. I'm a real woman and passionate and romantic and sweet at times. But please don't matchmake me is what I'm saying. Please just fucking don't, because I will act out and I will move on, go my own way. Just like that Fleetwood Mac song, you can go your own way, go your own way. You can call it another lonely day. And you know what? It's not so bad. It's not the worst thing that can happen to me. I've been through much, much worse than being a bit lonely and a bit despairing and a bit pathetic, you know. Compared to some of the things I went through, that's a good day. I mean, you have to laugh. It's not funny, but you kind of have to laugh. Anyway, there's someone out there that I know loves me very, very deeply, and I had that notice this morning, thinking about all the events in the last few years and how I have been included and treated like a VIP, which I was even joking about in the queue one day, lining up for the Brooklyn Standard. Even the security manager was laughing so much. I was in the queue, lining up with everyone else, like just what I did for 12 months. And so that's what you do. And it used to grind my gears because I hate queuing, but that's what you do. That's what you do. That's, if you want to participate in that space, then you line up, and that's just how they run that place. I'm not in charge. So anyway, but there was this delightful Māori woman, actually, very pretty woman, kept asking me if I was a VIP. I don't know why she thought that. A very ordinary person minding my own business in the queue. Maybe she could pick up with my grinding my gears mentally or spiritually. Maybe it was emanating like a big cloud above my head, because I am powerful spiritually, and Māori people pick up on that too because they're powerful spirits too. So maybe that's what that was about. But anyway, she was so sweet. You're a VIP, am I? Really? I said, would I be in a queue if I was a VIP? She says, yes, I think you're a VIP. And I said, what makes you think I'm a VIP? Oh, just how everyone's looking at you. Which made me feel very self-conscious because I wasn't aware that everyone was looking at me. It's just standing in the queue on my own, as I do every Friday night. Anyway, she carried it on till we got to the front of the queue. I think you're a VIP. I was like, love, darling, baby girl, if I was a VIP, would I be standing in a fucking queue lining up to go anywhere? She said to me, yes, because that way no one knows for sure that you're a VIP. And she says, I've decided that you're a VIP. And Richard was laughing so much. We were both, I was looking at him, trying not to roll my eyes. He's laughing because there was no way we were going to win. I was going to win this argument with her. It became an argument. So I just said, all right, lovey. I said, if you want me to be a VIP, then so be it. I am a VIP. And she pointed at me. She said, I knew it all along. Anyway, the whole queue, we were all laughing in the end. We were all laughing. Now the joke's kind of has been flipped on the obverse because I no longer have to queue anymore because I've been blessed with the privilege of being able to go to the front of the queue. And do you know, sometimes it feels quite awkward actually. I was standing waiting there and the whole queue's all looking at me like, who is she? She must be a VIP. I'm like, oh, don't start that again. But anyway, it's kind of delightful, although a little bit confronting, being treated like a VIP or a famous person when I'm not at all famous or anyone of any real importance really. I'm just a short, fat little hobbit woman that currently tells folk tales or fairy tales on my YouTube channel. So what's with that? I don't know. It's something to do to kill time, or time's slowly killing me. But anyway, on that note, let us begin with the carry on with the story. Oh gosh, I've got lost in space again, haven't I? This is proof that I'm not a VIP. If I was a VIP, I'd be hyper-focused. I'd be doing bang, drink, baby, and it'd all be happening. Cooking gas. There'd be no segues. There'd be no deliberating. There'd be no justifying my existence. There'd be no, dealing with the occasional troll that comes onto my channel, which I'm pretty sure is my former friend. He's got an axe to grind because I rejected him. He has to think why I rejected him though. He has to think deeply about that. Why would I reject him after a long, long, intimate friendship? He has to think about the consequences of actions. So, anywho, I might forgive him one day because I'm like that. I sometimes just randomly will just go, okay, I'm over that now. But I may not. I'm capricious like that. It can take time to move on from certain annoyances. Anyway, here we go. The travelling peasant, or bard, or storyteller, and the devoted nyanya, the beloved nurse of many a generation, are rapidly dying out, indeed we are, and with them the tales and legends, the last echoes of the nation's early joys and sufferings, hopes and fears are passing away. The student of folklore knows that the time has come when haste is needed to catch these vanishing songs of the nation's youth and to preserve them for the delight of future generations. Be a VIP in your own gnosis, people. As I said, preserve your stories. In sending forth the stories in the present volume, all of which are here set down in print for the first time, it is my hope that they may enable American children to share with the children of Russia the pleasure of glancing into the magic world of the old Slavic nation, the author, which is Vera de Blumenthal. Yes, correct. Right, let's just scroll to the first story that comes along. Very Mucha-like portrait. The Tsarevna frog. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Bear in mind, I don't speak Russian. Don't speak a lot of things, and sometimes I speak in pure fucking energy, but only the truly initiated and those who are in spiritual alliance, energetic alliance with me can pick up that signalling, and it's a bit astonishing when that happens, people. That's how you know when someone is simpatico with you or truly loves you. But I've also had that kind of powerful connection with former lovers turned enemies too, which can be very draining on the body, mind and spirit. So I'm actually careful about allowing that kind of spiritual connectivity. So a bit astonishing that it's become very manifest in recent weeks. I'm thinking deeply about that too. So, not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but it's just something I've become aware of. I may have to tighten up, firm up my boundaries and my spiritual boundaries, and or alternatively, I may have to kick all the walls down and welcome that person in, baby. But it's a dangerous thing to do for me, so I may just sit with it a little bit longer. Anyway, the Tsarevna frog. In an old Russian Tsarevo, I do not know when, there lived a sovereign prince with the princess, his wife. They had 3 sons. Let me just bring this closer because it's twisting my already sore neck. They had 3 sons, all of them young, and such brave fellows that no pen could describe them. The youngest had the name of Ivan Tsarevich. One day their father said to his sons, "My dear boys, take each of you an arrow, draw your strong bow, and let your arrow fly. Whatever court it falls, in that court there will be a wife for you." It's an interesting way of finding a wife, isn't it? It's like getting a map and just, maybe I should try that for a partner, not a husband or a wife, but a permanent life partner. Just find out what country he comes from, and then how would I get the money to go and find that person? And should I go and find that person, or should that person just find me? But anyway, something to think about. Had a lot of South American energy in recent months, meeting people from Brazil and Argentina and Chile and Peru, and well, I want to go to Peru because I want to see Machu Picchu one day. And it was Mexico, so the gods are trying to tell me something, but I don't know exactly what. Sometimes I choose to play a bit dumb, let the gods decide. It's better that way than me trying to bend reality to my will and have it fall flat on my face very often. It's the trouble when you're a daughter of the gods. You think you have free will, but ultimately you really don't. You just get sent on weird little missions that sometimes go nowhere or cause heartache, and I don't want that. Don't want that. I'm too old and I'm too tired. She has spoken, to Tsarevna. VIPs, dear goodness. But thank you to my beautiful ones who made that manifest. It was very kind of you and sweet. I do appreciate it. It's astonishing. Sometimes I'm still in denial about it, to be honest. Came totally out of left field. It did it really, because they've known me for many years. But it really only came about in the last 18 months to 2 years, so I kind of have a bit of an idea what I did to make them all love me so much. But it just involved being courageous and reminding everyone to guard their body autonomy. It's not a VIP thing to do. It's a human thing to do. It's what everyone should have been doing from the very beginning. Dear goodness. Anyway, let us carry on. The arrow of the oldest Tsarevich fell on a boyar house. I don't know what a boyar house is. Just in front of the terem where women live. The arrow of the second Tsarevich flew to the red porch of a rich merchant, and on the porch there stood a sweet girl, the merchant's daughter. The youngest, the brave Tsarevich Ivan, had the ill luck to send his arrow into the midst of a swamp. That sort of shit would happen to me, because max vision, I couldn't fucking see straight, could I? Dear goddess. I have to shoot left-handed if I ever take up archery again, apparently. That's going to be hard. I'll have to relearn everything. Well, anyway, what's the point? It's an expensive hobby, sport, very expensive sport. They wanted me there at 8 o'clock every morning for training. I was like, are you kidding me? I don't get out of bed before 10. They were quite astonished. But I didn't want to do it as a sport. I just wanted to know how to shoot arrows in the event that I might need to one day. Dear goodness. Anyway, we know that that's not going to happen now, don't we? Because I can't shoot straight because I can't see straight. That's probably why my little... It's why my little fat little Cupid, little angel, keeps sending me on wild goose chases with men because I can't see straight. If I fall in love, I get all cockeyed and cockamamie and demanding and needy and oppressive. No, not really. I'm not really that bad. They sometimes get demanding and needy and oppressive, and then I have to go chew my own arm off. Oh, dear goddess, I need a king to my queen. A king to my queen, and I'll be his queen too. And we'll live happily and ever after, just like in a fairy story, but real. Now you know I've gone off in the heat. I undergone some kind of alteration of my brain to even wish that at nearly 60 years of age. It's truly insane. But anyway, I can hear my psychiatrist go, no, it's not. No, it's not. You're worthy of a true love, Tanya. He's right. I'm worthy of a true love. But it is kind of insane. Ridiculous. Pushing 60. Anyway, so poor old Ivan Tsarevich, the baby of the family, had shot his arrow into the midst of a swamp where it was caught by a croaking frog. Ivan Tsarevich came to his father. How can I marry the frog? Complained the son. Is she my equal? Certainly she is not. One must always marry one's equal, darlings. Absolutely an equal. It's why I keep saying king to my queen. I'm not an actual queen, you understand, but a man of nobility and grace and honour towards me. And I can exemplify the same values towards her. Can't stand slathering, submissive, weak, inadequate men, and I can't stand dominating, controlling, vicious, sadistic, putrid BDSM types either. Ugh! It's make me vomit a little bit in my mouth just thinking about it. An equal, nothing more, nothing less. Keep on dreaming, psychedelic dreamer. Yes, I know. That's what the spirit just jumped in with that. Oh, they're mean to me sometimes. That's okay. Let them. I know what I want and how my life has to be, because otherwise, if it's not the right parameters, the four corners of a good life, then it will be nothing but torture and torment and distress for both my lover and myself, and that is not what I want. Absolutely not. Never mind, replied his father. You have to marry the frog, for such is evidently your destiny. By the gods, he hasn't met me. I would have said, can I have a second arrow? I need to try again. If I keep hitting the frog, though, over and over again, then it's destiny. Thus the brothers were married, the oldest to a young boyarishnya, a nobleman's child, the second to the merchant's beautiful daughter, and the youngest, Tsarevich Ivan, to a croaking frog. After a while, the sovereign prince called his 3 sons and said to them, have each of your wives bake a loaf of bread by tomorrow morning. Ivan returned home. There was no smile on his face and his brow was clouded. Croak, croak, dear husband of mine, Tsarevich Ivan. Why so sad? Gently asked the frog. Was there anything disagreeable in the palace? Disagreeable indeed, answered Ivan Tsarevich. The Tsar, my father, wants you to bake a loaf of white bread by tomorrow. Do not worry, Tsarevich. Go to bed. The morning hour is a better adviser than the dark evening. She's a very wise frog too. I just had a funny thought, but have you guessed? No, never mind. Keep it kosher, Tanya Aarons. Do not worry, the Tsarevich. Go to bed. The morning hour is a better adviser than the dark evening. I repeated that, sorry. I got lost in my lurid little thought there for a moment. The Tsarevich, taking his wife's advice, went to sleep. Then the frog threw off her frog skin and turned into a beautiful, sweet girl, Vasilisa by name. She now stepped out on the porch and called aloud, "Nurses and waitresses, come to me at once and prepare a loaf of white bread for tomorrow evening, a loaf exactly like those I used to eat in my royal father's palace." In the morning, Tsarevich Ivan awoke with the crowing cocks, and you know the cocks and chickens are never late. Yet the loaf was already made, and so fine it was that nobody could even describe it, for only in fairyland one finds such marvellous loaves. It was adorned all about with pretty figures, with towns and fortresses on each side, and within it was white as snow and light as a feather. The Tsar father was pleased, and the Tsarevich received his special thanks. "Now there is another task," said the Tsar smilingly. "Have each of your wives weave a rug by tomorrow." That's a bit of an ask, isn't it? It takes weeks or months to weave a rug. Ask me how I know. Dear goodness. Just to watch my mother working on hers. Tsarevich Eva came back to his home. There was no smile on his face, and his brow was clouded. "Croak, croak, dear Tsarevich Ivan, my husband and master. Why so troubled again? Was not father pleased? How can I be otherwise? The Tsar, my father, has ordered a rug by tomorrow." "Do not worry, Tsarevich. Go to bed, go to sleep. The morning hour will bring help." Again the frog turned into Vasilisa, the wise maiden, and again she called aloud, "Dear nurses and faithful waitresses, come to me for new work. Weave a silk rug like the one I used to sit upon in the palace of the king, my father." Once said, quickly done. When the cocks began their early cock-a-doodle-doo, Tsarevich Ivan awoke, and lo, there lay the most beautiful silk rug before him, a rug that no one could begin to describe. Threads of silver and gold were interwoven among bright-coloured silken ones, and the rug was too beautiful for anything but to admire. The Tsar father was pleased, thanked his son Ivan, and issued a new order. He now wished to see the 3 wives of his handsome sons, and they were to present their brides on the next day. The Tsarevich Ivan returned home. Cloudy was his brow, more cloudy than before. Croak, croak, Tsarevich, my dear husband and master, why so sad? Now tell me, how could I dare go with thee? It is not so bad after all, and might be much worse. Oh wait, I've missed a line. Dear goddess. Right, here we go. Rewind a little bit in the space-time continuum. Oh, don't we wish we could rewind? Many, many things. But anyway, unpleasant enough indeed. I think I'm having some kind of breakdown. Let's go back. Let's rewind one more paragraph back. Croak, croak. Tsarevich, my dear husband and master, why so sad? Hast thou heard anything unpleasant at the palace? Unpleasant enough indeed. My father the Tsar ordered all of us to present our wives to him. Now tell me, how could I dare go with thee? It is not so bad after all, might be much worse, answered the frog, gently croaking. Thou shalt go alone, and I will follow thee. When thou hearest a noise, a great noise, do not be afraid. Simply say, there is my miserable froggy coming in her miserable box. The two elder brothers arrived first with their wives, beautiful, bright, and cheerful, and dressed in rich garments. Both the happy bridegrooms made fun of the Tsarevich Ivan. Why alone, brother? They laughingly said to him. Why didst thou not bring thy wife along with thee? Was there no rag to cover her? Where couldst thou have gotten such a beauty? We are ready to wager that in all the swamps in the dominion of our father, it would be hard to find another one like her. And they laughed and laughed. Lo, what a noise! The palace trembled. The guests were all frightened. Tsarevich Ivan alone remained quiet and said, no danger, 'tis my froggy coming in her box. To the red porch came flying a golden carriage drawn by 6 splendid white horses, and Vasilisa, beautiful beyond all description, gently reached her hand to her husband. He led her with him to the heavy oak tables, which were covered with snow-white linen and loaded with many wonderful dishes, such as are known and eaten only in the land of fairies and never anywhere else. The guests were eating and chatting gaily. Vasilisa drank some wine, and what was left in the tumbler she poured into her left sleeve. She ate some of the fried swan, and the bones she threw into her right sleeve. So let me get this straight. There's wine in her left sleeve and fried swan bones in her right sleeve. The wives of the 2 elder brothers watched her and did exactly the same. When the long, hearty dinner was over, the guests began dancing and singing. The beautiful Vasilisa came forward, as bright as a star, bowed to her sovereign, bowed to the honourable guests, and danced with her husband, the happy Tsarevich Ivan. While dancing, Vasilisa waved her left sleeve, and a pretty lake appeared in the midst of the hall and cooled the air. She waved her right sleeve, and white swans swam on the water. The Tsar, the guests, the servants, even the grey cat sitting in the corner, all were amazed and wondered at the beautiful Vasilisa. Her two sisters-in-law alone envied her. When their turn came to dance, they also waved their left sleeves, as Vasilisa had done, and, oh wonder, they sprinkled wine all around. They waved their right sleeves, and instead of swans, the bones flew in the face of the Tsar father. The Tsar grew very angry and bade them leave the palace. In the meantime, Ivan Tsarevich watched a moment to slip away unseen. He ran home, found the frog skin, and burned it in the fire. Vasilisa, when she came back, searched for the skin, and when she could not find it, her beautiful face grew sad and her bright eyes filled with tears. She said to Tsarevich Ivan, her husband, "Oh, dear Tsarevich, what hast thou done? There was but a short time left for me to wear the ugly frog skin. The moment was near when we could have been happy together forever. Now I must bid thee goodbye. Look for me in a faraway country to which no one knows the roads, at the palace of Koschei the Deathless." And Vasilisa turned into a white swan and flew away through the window. Tsarevich Ivan wept bitterly. Then he prayed to the Almighty God, and making the sign of the cross northward, southward, eastward, and westward, he went on a mysterious journey. No one knows how long his journey was, but one day he met an old man. He bowed to the old man, who said, "Good day, brave fellow. What art thou searching for, and whither art thou going?" Tsarevich Ivan answered sincerely, telling all about his misfortune without hiding anything. "And didst thou burn the frogs? And why didst thou burn the frog skin?" "It was wrong to do so. Listen now to me. Vasilisa was born wiser than her own father, and as he envied his daughter's wisdom, he condemned her to be a frog for 3 long years. But I pity thee and want to help thee. Here is a magic ball. In whatever direction this ball rolls, follow without fear." Ivan Tsarevich thanked the good old man and followed his new guide, the ball. We shall call him Wilson. No, we won't. That's a whole other story. We won't blend reality. Long, very long was his road. One day, in a wide flowery field, he met a bear, a big Russian bear. Ivan Tsarevich took his bow, and was ready to shoot the bear. "Do not kill me, kind Tsarevich," said the bear. "Who knows but that I may be useful to thee?" And Ivan did not shoot the bear. Above in the sunny air there flew a duck, a lovely white duck. Again the Tsarevich drew his bow to shoot it, but the duck said to him, "Do not kill me, good Tsarevich. I certainly shall be useful to thee some day." And this time he obeyed the command of the duck and passed by. Continuing his way, he saw a blinking hare. The Tsarevich prepared an arrow to shoot it, but the grey, blinking hare said, "Do not kill me, brave Tsarevich. I shall prove myself grateful to thee in a very short time." The Tsarevich did not shoot the hare, but passed by. He walked farther and farther after the rolling ball and came to the deep blue sea. On the sand there lay a fish. I do not remember the name of the fish, but it was a big fish, almost dying on the dry sand. "Oh, Tsarevich Ivan," prayed the fish, "have mercy upon me and push me back into the cool sea." The cool sea. We could do with that right now, couldn't we, people of Brisbane? Those of you who don't live by the sea, I mean. The Tsarevich did so and walked along the shore. The ball, rolling all the time, brought Ivan to a hut, a queer, tiny hut standing on tiny hen's feet. Oh, you know who that is. Do you know who that is, people of it? That is the hut of Baba Yaga. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Oh my goodness, it's now 34 degrees. I hope my friends who are performing at the Kill Your Pop Stars festival are alright, because by the gods it's hot today. Well, I'm not their mother and they're grown men and they're perfectly capable of looking after themselves. But it would be hard work today, just say. "Oh, Tsarevich Ivan," prayed the fish. Oh, where were we with that? Dear goddess, where were we? Oh yes, standing on tiny hen's feet, the hut. Izbushka, Izbushka, for so in Russia do they name small huts. Izbushka, I want thee to turn thy front to me, cried Ivan. And lo, the tiny hut turned its front at once. Ivan stepped in and saw a witch, one of the ugliest witches he could imagine. Why do they always make witches out to be ugly? Like, how very rude. I guess some are ugly after they've spent years doing evil deeds to people. You are your thoughts and how you treat people, and evil personified does make you a bit ugly, but I've met some pretty beautiful evil witches too. Guess it just depends on telomeres and aging and bitterness and cynicism and sardonism and not getting enough love. True love makes everyone beautiful, doesn't it? It does. There's a wonderful movie I saw about that, but there's two, I forget the name of the movie. It's on Netflix or Prime. Wish I could remember the title. It was a wonderful movie. It's very sweet, almost like a fairy story in a way. About this couple that came to stay at this hostel, kind of a holiday type inn, and it was a magical holiday type inn. And they were both quite ugly actually, but anyway, they were staying there, and if I remember correctly, they were both brought there for whatever reason, go on holiday or to stay there, and they fell in love, and magically they became, both of them, the man extremely handsome and the woman beautiful, and they fell in love, and they were so deeply in love and so happy. And I think the end of the movie, they left the house and they were as ugly as ever they were before, but when they looked at each other, they only saw each other as beautiful and handsome, and it was the love and the magic of that place that made them feel and look that way. It was beautiful. It was like, oh, I think I even cried. It was like, oh, that's lovely. It was a really lovely sentiment to the story, you know. But anyway, meanwhile, in the real world, in 3D reality, Mama T, the short fat hobbit, is reading her stories to you with great mischief and delight. So he's seen the ugliest witch he's ever seen. "Ho, Ivan Tsarevich, what brings thee here?" was his greeting from the witch. Like all witches, she doesn't bother, you know. She just cuts to the chase. We don't have time for nonsense, we witches. We're far too busy creating our own personal magic, living our best lives, holding it together sometimes by a very thin thread. "O thou old mischief," shouted Ivan with anger. "Is it the way in holy Russia to ask questions before the tired guest gets something to eat, something to drink, and some hot water to wash the dust off? Baba Yaga, the witch, I told you that would be the one, gave Tsarevich plenty to eat and drink. Besides hot water to wash the dust off." Tsarevich Ivan felt refreshed. Soon he became talkative and related the wonderful story of his marriage. He told how he had lost his dear wife and that his only desire was to find her. "I know all about it," answered the witch. "She is now at the palace of Koschei the Deathless, and thou must understand that Koschei is terrible. He watches her day and night, and no one can ever conquer him. His death depends on a magic needle. That needle is within a hair. That hair is within a large trunk. That trunk is hidden in the branches of an old oak tree, and that oak tree is watched by Koschei as closely as Vasilisa herself, which means closer than any treasure he has." Then the witch told Ivan Tsarevich how and where to find the oak tree. Ivan hastily went to the place. But when he perceived the oak tree, he was much discouraged, not knowing what to do or how to begin the work. Lo and behold, that old acquaintance of his, the Russian bear, came running along, approached the tree, uprooted it, and the trunk fell and broke. A hare jumped out of the trunk and began to run fast, but another hare, Ivan's friend, came running after, caught it, and tore it to pieces. Out of the hare there flew a duck, a grey one, which flew very high and almost invisible. But the beautiful white duck followed the bird and struck its grey enemy, which lost an egg. That egg fell into the deep sea. Ivan, meanwhile, was anxiously watching his faithful friends helping him. But when the egg disappeared in the blue waters, he could not help weeping. All of a sudden, a big fish came swimming up, the same fish he had saved, and brought the egg in his mouth. How happy Ivan was when he took it. He broke it and found the needle inside, the magic needle upon which everything depended. At the same moment, Koschei lost his strength and power forever. Ivan Tsarevich entered his vast dominions, killed him with the magic needle, and in one of the palaces found his own dear wife, his beautiful Vasilisa. He took her home, and they were very happy ever after. The end. Right, we're 1 hour and 7 minutes in. So I will gift you the second story, one more story. I don't know how long it goes for. Let's have a quick glance. Hard to tell because it's not in page format of book, it's on the internet. That one looks quite long. Very long. Dear Goddess. Well, I'm in the mood for magic and wonder and mystery. It's 1:11 p.m, so if you're so inclined, make a wish, ask the angels for what it is you want from life. With gratitude, and so it is. Amen V'Salah. Right. 7 Simeons. Yes, I am that silly. I know. You don't have to be on my channel if you don't believe in magic and wonder and fairy and folk tales and mischief and delight. You can jog along, go be awesome somewhere else. Seven Simeons. In an empire, in a country beyond many seas and islands, beyond high mountains, beyond large rivers, upon a level expanse as if spread upon a table, there stood a large town, and in that town there lived a Tsar called Arkidai, the son of Agay. Agay? Agay. Agay? Agay. Well, anyway, Aggie something. Therefore, he was called Agayevich. A famous Tsar he was. A Tsar is a king, by the way. Or maybe equivalent of an emperor. But along those lines. A famous Tsar he was, and a clever one. His wealth could not be counted, his warriors were innumerable. There were 40 times 40 towns in his kingdom, and in each one of these towns there were 10 palaces with silver doors and golden ceilings and magnificent crystal windows. For his council 12 wise men were selected, each one of them having a beard half a yard long and a head full of wisdom. These advisers offered nothing but truth to their father's sovereign. None ever dared advance a lie, my kind of men and advisers. A rarity in these modern times. How could such a Tsar be anything but happy? But it is true indeed that neither wealth nor wisdom give happiness when the heart is not at ease. And even in golden palaces, the poor heart often aches. It's true. Wealth doesn't necessarily bring true love or happiness or sweetness and kindness, unfortunately. So it was with the Tsar Akidei. He was rich and clever, besides being a handsome fellow. But he could not find a bride to his taste, a bride with wit and beauty equal to his own. Remember I said earlier, one needs an equal. And this was the cause of Tsar Akidei's sorrow and distress. One day he was sitting in his golden armchair, looking out of the window, lost in thought. He had gazed for quite a while before he noticed foreign sailors landing opposite the imperial palace. The sailors ran their ship up to the wharf, reefed their white sails, threw the heavy anchor into the sea, and prepared the plank ready to go ashore. Before them all, comma, there should be a comma there, walked an old merchant. White was his beard, and he had about him the air of a wise man. An idea suddenly occurred to the Tsar. Sea merchants generally are well informed on many subjects. If I ask them, perchance I shall find that they have met somewhere a princess, beautiful and clever, suitable for me, the Tsar Akidei. Without delay the order was given to call the sea merchants into the halls of the palace. The merchant guests appeared, prayed to the holy icons hanging in the corner, bowed to the Tsar, bowed to the wise advisers. The Tsar ordered his servants to serve them with tumblers of strong green wine. Green wine? The guests drank the strong green wine and wiped their beards with embroidered towels. Then the Tsar Akidei addressed them. We are aware that you gallant sea merchants cross all the big waters and see many wonderful things. My desire is to ask you about something, and you must give a straightforward answer without any deceit or evasion. Indeed. So be it, mighty Tsar Akidei Agayevich, answered the merchant guests, bowing. Well then, can you tell me if somewhere in an empire or kingdom or among great princes there is a maiden as beautiful and wise as I myself, Tsar Akidei, an illustrious maiden who would be a proper wife for me, a suitable tsaritsa for my country. The merchant guests seemed to be puzzled, and after a long silence the eldest among them thus replied, "Indeed, I once heard that yonder beyond the great sea, on an island called Bulzan, there is a great country, and the sovereign of that land has a daughter named Helena, a princess very beautiful, not less so, I dare say, than thyself, and wise she is too. A wise man once tried for 3 years to guess a riddle that she gave, and did not succeed. How far is that island, pray tell, and where are the roads that lead to it?" "The island is not near," answered the old merchant. "If one chooses the wide sea, he must journey 10 years. Besides, the way to it is not known to us. Moreover, even suppose we did know the way, it seems that the Princess Helena is not a bride for thee." The Tsar Akidai shouted with anger, "How dost thou dare to speak such words, thou, a long-bearded buck?" "Thy will be done, but think for thyself. Suppose thou shouldst send an envoy to the island of Bulzan, he would require 10 long years to go there, 10 years equally long to come back, and so his journey would require fully 20 years. By that time, a most beautiful princess would grow old. A girl's beauty is like the swallow, a bird of passage. It lasts not long." I don't know about that. Attitude is everything. I feel more beautiful now at 59 and 2/3 years. Had to throw that in just for mischief, you understand. But I'll be 60 in 4 months. So I feel more beautiful now, even though I'm a short fat hobbit with wrinkles and skin cancers and gnarly toenails because I keep smashing my toes and a weird hand thing and sleep apnea. All those, very debilitating, not very attractive issues. I feel more beautiful now than I ever felt as a young woman, married with 2 children. I was constantly told I was ugly and useless, by the way, so maybe that's what it was. When you surround yourself by people who love you and treat you like a queen and make you feel valued and cherished and beautiful, you become beautiful. Just like that fairy story type movie I saw where in reality you're just fucking ordinary, but beauty's in the eye of the perceiver. Receiver. Beholder is the word. In the eye of the beholder. So thank you to my wonderful friends who have made me blossom again and made me feel beautiful. Goddess bless you all. The Tsar Akidai became thoughtful. "Well," he said to the merchant guests, "you have my thanks, guests of passage, respectable men of trade. Go in God's name, transact business in my Tsarstvo without any taxes whatever. What to do about the beautiful Princess Helena, I will try to think out by myself." The merchants bowed low, and left the Tsar's rich palace. The Tsar Akidai sat still, wrapped in thought, but he could find neither beginning nor end to the problem. Let me ride into the wide fields, he said. Let me forget my sorrow amidst the excitement of the noble hunt, hoping that the future may bring advice. The falconers appeared, cheerful notes from the golden trumpets resounded, and falcons and hawks were soon slumbering under their velvet caps as they sat quietly on the fingers of the hunters. The Tsar Arkady Agayevich came with his men to a wide, wide field. All of his men were watching the moment to loose their falcons in order to let the birds pursue a long-legged heron or a white-breasted swan. Now you, my listeners, or viewers in this case, must understand that the fairy tale is quick, but life is not. The Tsar Arkady was on horseback for a long while and finally came to a green valley. Looking around, he saw a well-cultivated field where the golden ears of the grain were already ripe. And oh, how beautiful! The Tsar stopped in admiration. I presume, he exclaimed, that good workers are owners of this place, honest ploughmen and diligent sowers. If only all fields in my Tsarstvo were equally cultivated, my people need never know what hunger means, and there would even be plenty to send beyond the sea to be exchanged for silver and gold. Then the Tsar Arkady gave orders to inquire who the owners of the field were and what were their names. Hunters, grooms and servants rushed in all directions and discovered 7 brave fellows, all of them fair and red-cheeked and very handsome. Le frisson. They were dining according to the peasant fashion, which means that they were eating rye bread with onions and drinking clear water. Water's H2O is perfectly acceptable to drink. Their blouses were red with a golden galloon around the neck, and they were so much alike that one could hardly be recognized from another. The royal messengers approached. Whose field is this? They asked. This field with golden wheat. The 7 brave peasants answered cheerfully, This is our field. We ploughed it, and we also have sown the golden wheat. And what kind of people are you? We are the Tsar Arkady Agayevich's peasants, farmers, and we are brothers, sons of one father and mother. The name for all of us is Simeon, so you understand, we are 7 Simeons. That would have been confusing, calling them to dinner. Here's another little drawing. Hunters, grooms and servants rushed in all directions. Sweet. This answer was faithfully delivered to the Tsar Arkady by the envoys, and the Tsar at once desired to see the brave peasants and ordered them to be called before him. The 7 Simeons presently appeared and bowed. The Tsar looked at them with his bright eyes and asked them, What kind of people are you? whose field is so well cultivated?" One of the 7 brothers, the eldest of them, answered, "We are all thy peasants, simpletons, without any wisdom, born of peasant parents, all of us children of the same father and the same mother, and all having the same name, Simeon. Our old father taught us to pray to God, to obey thee, to pay taxes faithfully, and besides, to work and toil without rest. He also taught to each of us a trade, for the old saying is, a trade is no burden, but a profit." The old father, I think, was it Peter the Great, was one of the Tsars of Russia. He went and learnt every trade he possibly could, just kind of something to do, but just to gain knowledge in all the trades. It's how much they value tradesmen in old Russia. The old father wished us to keep our trades for a cloudy day, but never to forsake our own fields, and always to be contented, and plough and harrow diligently. He also used to say, if one does not neglect the Mother Earth, but thoroughly harrows and sows in due season, then she, our mother, will reward generously, and will give plenty of bread, besides preparing a soft place for the everlasting rest when one is old and tired of life. Sensible philosophy to have. The Tsar Archidej liked the simple answer of the peasant and said, "Take my praise, brave good fellows, my peasants, tillers of the soil, sowers of wheat, gatherers of gold. And now tell me, what trades did your father teach you, and what do you know?" The first Simeon answered, "My trade is not a very wise one. If thou wouldst let me have materials and working men, then I would build a post, a white stone column, reaching beyond the clouds, almost to the sky." "Good enough," exclaimed the Tsar Archidej. "And thou, the second Simeon, what is thy trade?" The second Simeon was quick to give answer. "My trade is a simple one. If my brother will build a white stone column, I can climb upon that column high up in the sky, and I shall see from above all the empires and all the kingdoms under the sun, and everything which is going on in those foreign countries." "Thy trade is not so bad either," said, and the Tsar smiled and looked at the third brother. "And thou, third Simeon, what trade is thine?" The third Simeon also had his answer ready. "My trade is simple too, that is to say, a peasant's trade. If thou art in need of ships, thy learned men of foreign birth build them for thee as well as their wisdom teaches them. But if thou wilt order, I will build them simply. 1, 2, and the ship is ready. My ships will be the result of the quick head work of a peasant simpleton. But where a foreign ship sails a year, mine will sail an hour, and where others take 10 years, mine will not take longer than a week." "Well, well," laughed the Tsar. "And thy trade, the fourth Simeon?" he asked. The fourth brother bowed. "My trade needs no wisdom either. If my brother will build thee a ship. I then will sail that ship, and if an enemy gives chase or a tempest rises, I'll seize the ship by the black prow and plunge her into the deep waters where there is eternal quiet. And after the storm is over, or the enemy far, I'll again guide her to the surface of the wide sea. Good, approved the Tsar. And thou, fifth Simeon, what dost thou know? Hast thou also a trade? My trade, Tsar Akidei Agayevich, is not a fair one, for I am a blacksmith. If thou wouldst order a shop built for me, I at once would forge a self-shooting gun, and no eagle far above in the sky or wild beast in the wood would be safe from that gun. Not bad either, answered the Tsar Akidei, well pleased. Thy turn now, sixth Simeon. My trade is no trade, answered the sixth Simeon rather humbly. If my brother shoots a bird or a beast, never mind what or where, I can catch it before it falls down, catch it even better than a hunting dog. If the prey should fall into the blue sea, I'll find it at the sea's bottom. Should it fall into the depth of the dark woods, I'll find it there in the midst of night. Should it get caught in a cloud, I'll find it even there. The Tsar Akidei evidently liked the trade of the sixth Simeon very well also. These were all simple trades, you see, without any wisdom whatever, but rather entertaining. The Tsar also liked the peasants' speech, and he said to them, "Thanks, my peasants, tillers of the soil, my faithful workers. Your excuse me. Your father's words are true ones. A trade is not a burden, but a profit. Now come to my capital for a trial. People like you are welcome, and when the season for harvest arrives, the time to reap, to bind in bundles the golden grain, to thresh and carry the wheat to the market, I will let you go home with my royal grace." Then all the 7 Simeons bowed very low. "Thine is the will," said they, "and we are thy obedient subjects." Here the Tsar Akidei looked at the youngest Simeon and remembered that he had not asked him about his trade. So he said, "And thou, 7th Simeon, what is thy trade?" "I have none, Tsar Akidei Agayevich. I learned many, but not a single one did me any good, and though I know something very well, I am not sure your Majesty would like it." "Let us know thy secret," ordered the Tsar Akidei. "No, Tsar Akidei Agayevich, give me, first of all, thy royal word not to kill me for my inborn talent, but to have mercy upon me. Then only will I be willing to disclose my secret." "Thy wish is granted. I give thee my royal word, true and not to be broken, that whatever thou shalt disclose to me, I will have mercy upon thee." Hearing these kind words, the 7th Simeon smiled, looked around, shook his curls. Oh, I do love curly hair on a man. But never mind, this story's not about me. And began. My trade is one for which there is no mercy in thy Tsarevna, and it's the one thing I am able to do. My trade is to steal and to hide the trace of how and when. There is no treasure, nor fortunate possession, not even a bewitched one, nor a secret place that could be forbidden me if it be my wish to steal. As soon as these bold words of the seventh Simeon reached the Tsar's ears, he became very angry. "No!" he exclaimed. "I certainly shall not pardon thee, thief and burglar. I will give orders for thy cruel death. I will have thee chained and thrown into my subterranean prison with nothing but bread and water for food until thou forget thy trade." Great and merciful Tsar Arkady Agayevich, postpone thy orders, listen to my peasant talk, prayed the seventh Simeon. Our old Russian saying is, "He is no thief who is not caught, and neither is he who steals, but the one who instigates the theft." If my wish had been to steal, I would have done it long ago. I should have stolen thy treasures, and thy judges would not have objected to take a small share of them, and I could have built a white-walled stone palace and have been rich. But mark this. I am a stupid peasant of low origin. I know well enough how to steal, but will not. If thy wish were to learn my trade, how could I keep it from thee? And if thou, for the sincere acknowledgment, will have me put to death, then what is the value of thy royal word? The man's got a point there. The Tsar thought a moment. "For this time," he said, "I will not let thee die, for it pleases me to grant thee my grace. But from this very day, this very hour, thou never shalt see God's light, nor the bright sunshine, nor the silvery moon. Thou shalt never walk at liberty through the wide fields, but thou, my dear guest, shalt dwell in a palace where no sunny ray ever penetrates. You, my servants, take him, chain his hands and his feet, and lead him to my chief jailer. And you, 6 Simeons, follow me. You have my grace and reward. Tomorrow every one of you will begin to work for me according to his gifts and capacities." The 6 Simeons followed the Tsar Arkady, and the seventh brother, the youngest, the beloved one, was fallen upon by the servants, taken away to the dark prison, and heavily chained. The Tsar Arkady ordered carpenters to be sent to the first Simeon, as well as masons and blacksmiths and all sorts of working men. He also ordered a supply of bricks, stones, iron, clay, and cement. Without any delay, Simeon, the first brother, began to build a column, and according to his simple peasant's habits, his work progressed rapidly, and not a moment was wasted in clever combinations. In a short time, the white column was ready, and lo, how high it went, as high as the great planets. The smallest stars were beneath it, and from above, the people seemed to be like bugs. The second Simeon climbed the column, looked around, listened to all sounds, and came down. The Tsarevna, anxious to know about everything under the sun, ordered him to report, and Simeon did so. He told the Tsarevna all the wonder doings all over the world. He told how one king was fighting another, where there was war and where there was peace. And with other things, the second Simeon even mentioned deep secrets, quite surprising secrets, which made the Tsarevna smile, and the courtiers, encouraged by the royal smile, roared with laughter. Meantime, the third Simeon was accomplishing something in his life. After crossing himself 3 times, the fellow rolled up his sleeves to the elbow, took a hatchet, and 1, 2, without any haste, built a vessel. What a curious vessel it was! The Tsarevna watched the wonderful structure from the shore, and as soon as the orders were given for sailing, the new vessel sailed away like a white-winged hawk. The cannon were shooting, and upon the masts, instead of rigging, were drawn strings upon which musicians were playing the national tunes. As soon as the wonderful vessel sailed into deep water, the fourth Simeon snatched the prow, and no trace of it remained on the surface. The whole vessel went into the depths like a heavy stone. In an hour or so, Simeon, with his left hand, led the ship to the blue surface of the sea again, and with his right he presented to the Tsar a most magnificent sturgeon for his kulibiaka, the famous Russian fish pie. Can't think of anything more revolting, but then I don't like fish much. Oh well. While the Tsarevna enjoyed himself with looking at the marvellous vessel, the fifth Simeon built a blacksmith shop in the court back of the palace. There he blew the bellows and heated the iron. The noise from his hammers was great, and the result of his peasant work was a self-shooting gun. Like an automatic rifle, I'm guessing. The Tsarevna Agayevich went to the wild fields and perceived high above him, very high under the sky, an eagle flying. "Now," exclaimed the Tsar, "there is an eagle forgetting himself with watching the sun. Shoot it. Perchance thou shalt have the good luck to hit it. Then I will honour thee." Simeon shook his locks, smiled, put into his gun a silver bullet, aimed, shot, and the eagle fell swiftly to the earth. Oh, the poor eagle. I mean, really. Was that really necessary? Dear Goddess. The sixth Simeon did not even allow the eagle to fall to the ground, but, quick as a flash, he ran under it with a plate, caught it on that big plate, and presented his prey to the Tsar Akidei. Thanks, thanks, my brave fellows, faithful peasants, tillers of the soil, exclaimed the Tsar Akidei gaily. I see now plainly that all of you are men of trade, and I wish to reward you. But now go to your dinner and rest a while. The six Simeons bowed to the Tsar very low, prayed to the holy icons, and wept. They were already seated, had time to swallow each one a tumbler of the strong green wine, took up the round wooden spoons in order to attack the stchi, the Russian cabbage soup. Can't think of anything worse. Don't think I'd do well dietarily speaking in Russia. You know, all that cabbage and fish. Used to drive all my fellow Jewish congregants nuts because they used to make, the most beautiful fish cakes, and, they'd bring herring and all that kind of Russian, Polish, Ukrainian, East European fare. And I'd be like, what? I'm not eating that. And they'd be like, what kind of a Jew are you, Tanya? I'm a very weird kind of a Jew. I'm not eating that. And they try to feed me gehackte Leber, which is chopped liver, which is, just like pate, but in its rough state. And I quite like pate, believe it or not. I will eat very nice pate, when it's smooth and perfectly prepared. But gehackte Leber is rough fucking peasant food, people are there. It's just chopped up liver with onions. And because it's rough and chopped up fried liver, you get the strong taste of the liver, and I'm like, bleh, bleh, I won't eat it. I can only eat it when it's marinated with, like duck and brandy or chicken pate. Anyway, I'm a fussy little bastard. For a short, fat hobbit woman, I've got very weird dietary requirements that are just of my own decision making. They make no sense, no coherent sense at all, really. But I won't eat shellfish, which is the only thing I'm really kosher about. I try not to eat pork products. I occasionally do eat it because I was raised on it, but it's like, it doesn't make me vomit or anything because I was raised on it and I'm used to it, but it's like, why? Why? And, but anyway, I used to drive everyone mad. Practically the only thing I like eating is chicken. I still eat a lot of chicken because it's all I can afford, basically. Oh, poor Mama T, small spider. It's all good. I'm not all that bothered. I'm just being melodramatic. I'm being melodramatic. Green wine. I think my ex Courtney had this green kind of wine. I'm trying to remember what it was called. It wasn't too bad. I think I had a taste of it. I think it came from Ireland. What the hell was it called? Do you think I can remember? I can't now. Anyway, what does it matter now? That was many, many years ago. Don't really need reminders of him anyway, but the green wine got me thinking, because I remember he went on about it and how wonderful it was. Anyway, it'll come to me what that wine was called. So they were eating cabbage soup, when lo, the Tsar's fool came running and shaking his striped cap with the round bells and shouted, "You ignorant simpletons, unlearned peasants, moujiks. Is it a suitable moment for dinner when the Tsar wants you? Go in haste. All the six started running toward the palace, thinking within themselves, what can have happened? In front of the palace stood the guards with their iron staves. In the halls all the wise and learned people were gathered together, and the Tsar himself was sitting on his high throne, looking very grim and thoughtful. Listen to me, he said when the peasants approached. You, my brave fellows, my clever brothers, Simeon, I like your trades, and I think, as do my wise advisers, that if thou, the second Simeon, art able to see everything going on under the sun, thou shouldst climb quickly on yonder column and glance around to see if there is, as they say, beyond the great sea, an island, Busan by name, and see if on that island, as men assert, there is a mighty kingdom, and in that kingdom a mighty king, and if that king, as the story goes, has a daughter, the most beautiful Princess Helena. He could have let them eat their freaking lunch before he decided to get horny, couldn't he? I mean, for the love of all the gods. I tell you what, I would have been fair pissed off if after working all day and all night creating him these magical, wondrous things, he denied me food. There would have been retribution of the worst possible kind. Dear goddess. The second Simeon bowed and ran quickly, even forgetting to put on his cap. He went straight to the column, climbed it, looked around, came down, and this was his report. It's probably how the Russian Revolution got started, isn't it? They're all starving peasants. You starve people, and deny them basic rights and bloody food and drink and merest basic bloody survival. There's always a revolution, people of Earth. Think about it. Matter of fact, we could do with one right now, but oh well, society's all dumbed down and achopic. That's why we have fairy stories, to remind us. Just keep it all up here, people of Earth. Never cede, never quit, never yield. By all the gods. Tsar Agayevich, I have accomplished thy sovereign wish. I looked far beyond the sea and have seen the island Busan. Mighty is the king there, and he is proud and merciless. He sits within his palace, and his speech is always the same. I am a great king, and I have a most beautiful daughter, the Princess Helena. There is no one in the universe more beautiful and more wise than she. There is no bridegroom worthy of her in any place under the bright sun. No Tsar, no king, no Tsarevich, no Korolovich. To no one will I ever give my daughter, the Princess Helena, and whoever shall dare to court her, on such an one will I declare war, ruin his country, and capture himself. And how great is the army of that king? Asked the Tsar Akidai. And also, how far is his kingdom from my Tsarstvo? Well, according to the measure of my eyes, answered Simeon. I fancy it would take a ship 10 years less 2 days. Or, if it happened to be stormy, I'm afraid even a little longer than 10 years. And that king has not a small army. I have seen altogether 100,000 spearmen, 100,000 armed men, and 100,000 or more could be gathered from the Tsar's court, from his servants and all kinds of underlings. Besides, there is no small armament of guards held in reserve for a special occasion, fed and petted by the king. The Tsar Arkidei remained for a long time in thoughtful silence and finally addressed his court people. My warriors and advisors, I have but one wish. I want the Princess Helena for my wife, but tell me, how can I reach her? The wise advisors remained silent. Did anyone ask the Princess Helena how she feels about this proposition? Like, does she even get a say, people of Earth? By all the gods. Okay. Suspend belief. Suspend belief. The wise advisors remained silent, hiding themselves behind each other. The third Simeon looked around, bowed to the Tsar and said, Tsar Arkidei, forgive my simple words. How to reach the island of Bulzan there is no need to worry about. Sit down on my ship. She is simply built and equipped without any wise tricks. Where others require a year, she takes but a day. And where other ships take 10 years, mine will take, let us say, a week. Only order thine advisors to decide whether we ought to fight for or peacefully court the beautiful princess. Now, my warriors brave, my advisors sage, spoke the Tsar Arkidei to his men. How will you decide upon this matter? Who among you will go to fight for the princess? Or who will be shrewd enough to bring her peacefully here? I will pour gold and silver over that one. I will give to him the first rank among the very first. And again the brave warriors and the sage advisors remained silent. The Tsar grew angry. He seemed to be ready for a terrible word. Then, as if somebody had asked the fool, out he jumped from behind the wise people with his foolish talk. Remember, a fool is very rarely an actual fool, is often the wisest and cleverest person in the court. It's just a little cosmic joke that gets played, tricksters and players and jokers and fools and can be very deceiving. So he jumped out from behind the wise people with his foolish talk, shook his striped fool's cap, rang his many bells and shouted, Why so silent, wise men? Why so deep in thought? You have big heads and long beards. It would seem that there is plenty of wisdom, so why not show it? To go to the island of Bulzan to obtain the bride does not mean to lose gold or army. Have you already forgotten the seventh Simeon? Why, it will be simple enough for him to steal the Princess Helena. Afterwards, let the king of Bulzan come here to fight us, and we will welcome him as an honoured guest. But do not forget that he must take 10 years' time to reach us. And in 10 years, me, I have heard that some wise man somewhere undertook to teach a horse to talk in 10 years. Good, exclaimed the Tsar Arkady, forgetting even his anger. I thank thee, striped fool. I certainly shall reward thee. Thou must have a new cap with noisy bells, and each one of thy children a ginger pancake. You, faithful servants, run quickly and bring here the 7th Simeon. According to the Tsar's bidding, the heavy iron gates of the dark prison were thrown open. The heavy chains were taken off, and the 7th Simeon appeared before the eagle eyes of the Tsar Arkady, who thus addressed him. Listen to me attentively, thou 7th Simeon, for I had almost decided to grant thee a high honour to keep thee thy life long in my prison. But if thou shouldst prove useful to me, then will I give thee freedom, and besides, thou shalt have a share out of my treasures. Art thou able to steal the beautiful Princess Helena from her father, the mighty king of the island of Busan? And why not? Cheerfully laughed the 7th Simeon. There is nothing difficult about it. She is not a pearl, and I presume she is not under too many locks. Only order the ship which my brother had built for thee to be loaded with velvets and brocades, with Persian rugs, beautiful pearls, and precious stones, and bid my 4 brothers come along with me, but the 2 eldest keep thou as hostages. Once said, quickly done. The Tsar Arkady gave orders while all were running hither and thither, and everything was finished so promptly that a short-haired girl would scarcely have had time to plait her hair. The ship, laden with velvets, brocades, with Persian rugs and pearls, and costly, precious stones, was ready. The 5 brothers, the brave Simeons, were ready. They bowed to the Tsar, spread sail, and disappeared. The ship floated swiftly over the blue waters. She flew like a hawk in comparison with the slow merchant vessels, and in a week after the 5 Simeons had left their native land, they sighted the island of Busan. The island appeared to be surrounded with cannon as thick as peas. The gigantic guards walked up and down the shores, tugging fiercely at their big moustaches. As soon as the ship became visible from a tower, somebody shouted through a Dutch trumpet. A Dutch trumpet. I've got one. My stepfather left it for me when he died. That was my only inheritance from him. After years of him predating on me as a child, the dirty motherfucker. Well, anyway. Stop. Answer. What kind of people are ye? Why come ye here? The 7th Simeon answered from the ship. We are a peaceful people, not enemies but friends. Merchants everywhere welcomed as guests. We bring foreign merchandise. We want to sell, to buy, and to exchange. We also have gifts for your king and for the Tsarevna. The 5 brothers, our brave Simeons, lowered the boat, loaded it with choice Venetian velvets, brocades, pearls, and precious stones, and covered all with Persian rugs. They rowed to the wharf and, landing near the king's palace, at once carried their gifts to the king. The beautiful Tsarevna Helena was sitting in her harem. She was a fair maiden with eyes like stars and eyebrows like precious sable. When she looked at one, it was like receiving a gift. And when she walked, it was like the graceful swimming of a swan. The Tsarevna was quick to notice the brave, handsome brothers, and at once called her nurses and maidens. Hasten, my dear nurses, and you swift maidens, find out what kind of strangers are these coming to our royal palace. All of the nurses, all of the maidens, ran out with questions ready. The seventh Simeon answered them thus: We are merchant guests, peaceful people. Our native land is the country of the Tsar Arkady Agayevich, a great Tsar indeed. We came to sell, to buy, to exchange. Moreover, we have gifts for the king and his princess. We do hope the king will favour us and will accept these trifles, if not for himself, at least for the adornment of his court's lovely maidens. When Helena heard these words, she at once let the merchants in, and the merchants appeared, bowed low to the beautiful Tsarevna, unfolded the showy velvets and golden brocades, strewed around the pearls and precious stones, such stones and pearls as had never been seen before in Busan. The nurses and the maidens opened their mouths in amazement, and the Tsarevna herself seemed to be greatly pleased. The seventh Simeon, quick to understand, smiled and said, We all know thee to be as wise as beautiful, but now thou art evidently joking about us and mocking us. These simple wares are altogether too plain for thine own use. Accept them for thy nurses and maidens for their everyday attire, and these stones send away to the kitchen boys to play with. But if thou wilt listen to me, let me say that on our ship we have very different velvets and brocades. We have also precious stones, far more precious than anyone has ever seen. Yet we dared not bring them at once, lest we might not suit thy temper and thy hearty wish. If thou shouldst decide to come in person and choose anything from among our possessions, they all are thine, and we bow to thee gratefully for the bright glance of thy beautiful eyes. The royal maid liked well enough these polite words of the handsome Simeon, and to her father she went. Father and king, there have come to visit us some foreign merchants, and they have brought some goods never before seen in Busan. Give me thy permission to go on board their wonderful ship, to choose what things I like. They also have great gifts for thee. The king hesitated before answering her, frowning and scratching behind his ear. Well, he said at last, be it according to thy wish, my daughter, my beautiful Tsarevna, and you, my counsellors, order my royal vessel to be ready, the cannons loaded and 100 of my bravest warriors detailed to escort the vessel. Send besides 1,000 heavy armed warriors to guard the Tsarevna on her way to the merchant's vessel. Then the king's vessel started from the island of Busan. Numbers of cannon and warriors protected the princess, and the royal father remained quiet at home. When they reached the merchant's ship, the Tsarevna Helena came down, and at once the crystal bridge was placed, and the Tsarevna, with all her nurses and maidens, went on board the foreign ship, such a ship as they had never seen before, never even dreamed of. Meanwhile, the guards kept watch. The seventh Simeon showed the lovely guests everywhere. He was talking smoothly while leisurely unfolding his precious goods. The Tsarevna listened attentively, looked around curiously, and seemed well pleased. At the same moment, the fourth Simeon, watching the proper moment, snapped the prow, and down to the mysterious depths went the ship, where no one could see her. Must have been like a submarine as well as a ship. Well, honestly, can't always suspend belief, can we? That magic happens, babies. To all the gods. The people on the king's vessel screamed in terror. The warriors looked like drunken fools, and the guards only opened their eyes wider than before. What should they do? They directed the vessel back to the island and appeared before the king with their terrible tale. "Oh, my daughter, my darling Princess Helena! It is God who punishes me for my pride. I never wanted thee to marry. No king, no prince would I consider worthy of thee. And now, oh, now I know that thou art wedded to the deep sea. As for me, I am left alone for the rest of my sorrowful days." As you deserve when you're selfish and deny your progeny happiness and, partnership or the marital estate with someone who loves them so they can have families and live normal lives. Weirdo. Dear goddess. Well, anyway, I should know, since I have turned my back on the normal life, since my normal life in marriage wasn't normal at all. In fact, was a hellscape. But anyway, I'm okay now. I've healed 30 years later. Almost 30 years. On the 2nd of January. Freedom for the Tanya. Cost me almost my life, by the way. So there is that. It's still worth it. It's not too many people. I know maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are many women out in the world like me that have actually lived a kind of fairy tale existence, including with bluebirds, ghouls, monsters, dead Israeli English, fucking Dibblekeen haunting them for 4 nights when 3 weeks after his death. I only found out it was 3 weeks later, in recent memory actually. But by the gods, that was weird. I've lived my own fairy story in this 3D reality, in this body. It's a bit weird, people of Earth. It's probably why when I say to people, don't subscribe to the governmental fearmongering, you should have fucking sat up and listened to me, because years of trauma gifted me unwittingly and unwelcomely a certain amount of wisdom. But you all thought me the fool with the jingly hat, the universal schmuck, the hayoka, the ass-kicked one. You didn't pay attention when I told you. dear goddess. Well, what can we do? Now we begin life again, from yet another ground zero manifestation. Do you know how many ground zeros I have had to build life again from, people of Earth? Too fucking many since childhood. Anyway, on a happy note, let us continue with the story. It's happy because I'm still here, still able to tell my stories. When many 74 women this year in Australia are not. So be grateful for your very existence and your ability to rebuild and regrow and become a better and more powerful and more magical and more amazing version of yourself than you ever thought possible when you were beaten down by some lackluster, low-level entity. Dog! Just saying. Just little reminders along the way on why I won't settle for nonsense. Who's here? No, they've gone. It's weird, they kind of slowed and stopped outside my house and then drove off. Oh well. Freedom to the people. Do what thou willest, and harm ye none. Now, where were we? Went off on my little rant-tan, as I sometimes do, randomly, for no apparent reason. I don't apologise because there's a history, people. There's a real history, and I don't owe anyone any apologies for the way my brain is left after all that cumulative damage. What I do need is peace, comfort and ease, and a loyal, loving man by my side. A good man, a kind man, an honouring man. Will I get it? Probably not. I'm too fucking crazy now. But it is what it is, people of Earth. My fairy story has not yet reached its happy little ending. Because the gods, like a sliding cosine sine scale, keep moving the cheese. And it's kind of amusing to me now. I've reached the point where it's become amusing. So a bit miraculous, but delightful. Mama T has healed in her own body, mind and spirit, to the point where she is now sensuous and erotic, but also circumspect. Oh, baby boys, come to Mama T. Let me show you the way of the not so peaceful warrior goddess, who loves you all madly. Have to set limits on that though. Trying to matchmake me still. Naughty ways. You have to laugh. It's sweet. Right, we were at the king. Bemoaning the fact that he's now married his daughter to the deep sea, thinking of course that she's perished. And he's left alone for his sorrowful days for being a selfish prick, quite frankly. But anyway, that's just my modern day interpretation of that. was also probably trying to protect her, knowing what men know about how marrying a bad man can ruin a woman's life and her children's. So there is that. Let's look on the bright side. He probably was a very good father indeed. Didn't throw his daughters to the vicissitudes of worthless, lackluster curs. Anyway, let us dance and rejoice in the joys of good, kind men who are courageous and love their women honouringly. I'm proud to know you, actually, for all my darkness and mummity, post-traumatic ways. Proud to know good, kind, honouring, sweet men. Seriously, without any sarcasm. I'm serious. Now, I've lost the spot because I made the text bigger and then I made it smaller. Here we are. Then all at once he looked around and shouted to his men, "You fools! What were you thinking about? You shall all lose your heads. Guards, throw them into dungeons." Wait a minute, didn't he let her go? "The most cruel death shall be theirs, such a death that the children of their great-grandchildren shall shiver to hear the tale." Now, while the king of Busan raved and grieved, the ship of the brothers Simeon, like a golden fish, swam under the blue waters. And when the island was lost from sight, the fourth Simeon, wonder how old this story, because if it's really old, they're kind of talking about a submarine, which weren't invented in those days. So I'm seriously quite amazed. Quite amazed. Swam under the blue waters, and when the island was lost from sight, the fourth Simeon brought her to the surface, and she rose upon the waters. Or it could be an unidentified submersible object too, because they're bending time. You know, they sailed in 10 years, they sailed a week. Think about it, people of Earth. Oh, I'm really loving this story. I'm getting really excited now, can you tell? Oh, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. The metaphysical, the supernatural, the magical. I love it. Because sometimes there's elements of truth in it all. Remember that, people of Earth. Always look for the truth, the pearl nestled deep, deep, deep within the dross and calcification of the oyster. There's always a treasure to be found there somewhere. You just have to know where to look and look for it and sometimes know how to acquire it, not by stealing though. Let it be gifted with great honour and accolades and peace and sweetness. I'm making my own fairy story up. It's a story within a story within a story now. Calm your farm, Tanya Aarons. Okay, I'll calm my farm. The ship of the brothers Simeon, like a golden fish, swam under the blue waters. And when the island was lost from sight, the fourth Simeon brought her to the surface, and she rose upon the waters like a white-winged gale. Gale? Gull. Gale. White-winged gull. By this time, the princess was becoming anxious about the long time they were away from home, and she exclaimed, "Nurses and maidens, we are leisurely looking around, but I fancy my father the king finds the time sadly long." So she was keeping her old time. not the magical time of the ship. Just quite clever, actually. She hastily walked to the deck of the ship, and behold, only the wide sea was around her like a mirror. Where was her native island, where the royal vessel? There was nothing visible but the blue sea. The princess screamed, struck her white bosom with both hands, transformed herself into a white swan, and flew high into the sky. Now, see, that's the part they didn't tell us, that she was magical too. But the fifth Simeon, watching closely, lost no time, snapped his lucky gun, and the white swan was shot. His brother, the sixth Simeon, caught the white swan, but lo, instead of the white swan, there was a silvery fish which slipped away from him. Simeon caught the fish, but the pretty silvery fish turned into a small mouse running around the ship. Simeon did not let it reach a hole, but swifter than a cat caught the mouse, and the Princess Helena, as beautiful and natural as before, appeared before them, fair-faced and bright-eyed. So she could only transform 3 times before returning to her natural form. That's important to people there. On a lovely morning, a week later, the Tsar Akidai was sitting by and each time she became a smaller creature too. Bear that in mind as well. Yes, carbon copies of carbon copies. It's fading out. On a lovely morning, a week later, the Tsar Akidai was sitting by the window of his palace, lost in thought. His eyes were turned toward the sea, the wide blue sea. He was sad at heart and could not eat. Feasts had no interest for him. The costly dishes had no taste. The honey drinks seemed weak. All his thoughts and longings were for the Princess Helena, the beautiful one, the only one. What is that far away upon the waters? Is it a white gull, or are those white wings not wings but sails? No, it is not a gull, but the ship of the brothers Simeon, and she approaches as rapidly as the winds which blows her sails. The cannon boom, native melodies are played on the cords of the masts. Soon the ship is anchored, the crystal bridge prepared, and the Tsarevna, Helena, the beautiful princess, appears like a never-setting sun, her eyes like bright stars, and oh, how happy is the Tsar Akidai. Run quick, my faithful servants, you brave officers of state, and you too, my bodyguard, and all you useful and ornamental fellows of my palace, run and prepare, shoot off rockets and ring the bells in order to give a joyful welcome to Tsarevna Helena, the beautiful. All hasten to their tasks, to shoot, to ring the bells, to open the gates, to honourably receive the Tsarevna. The Tsar himself came out to meet the beautiful princess, took her white hands and helped her into the palace. Welcome, welcome, said the Tsar Akidai. Thy fame, Tsarevna Helena, reached me, but never could I imagine such beauty as is thine. Yet, although I admire thee, I do not want to separate thee from thy father. Say the word, and my faithful servants will take thee back to him. If thou choosest, however, to remain in my Tsarstvo, Tsaritsa over my country, and rule over me, the Tsar Akidai also. Ooh, he wants her to rule over him also. No. Remember what I said earlier. I need an equal. At these words of the Tsar Tsarevna, I have to laugh, Helena, there should have been a comma. At these words of the Tsar, comma, the Korolevna Helena threw such a glance at the Tsar that it seemed to him the sun was laughing, the moon singing, and the stars dancing all around. Ooh! Dancing stars, singing moons, laughing suns. Well, what more is there to be said? You certainly can imagine the rest. The courtship was not long, and the wedding feast was soon ready, for you know kings always have everything at their command. The brothers Simeon were at once dispatched to the king of Bulzan with a message from the Korolevna, his daughter, and this is what she wrote. Dear father, mighty king and sovereign, I have found a husband according to my heart's wish, and I am asking thy fatherly blessing. My bridegroom, the Tsar Akidai Agayevich, sends his counsellors to thee, begging thee to come to our wedding. At the very moment when the merchant ship was to land at the island of Bulzan, crowds of people had gathered to witness the execution of the unfortunate guards and brave warriors whose ill luck it was to have allowed the princess to disappear. Stop! Simeon the Seventh shouted aloud from the deck. We bring a missive from the Korolevna Helena. Hola! Very glad indeed was the king of the island of Bulzan, and glad were his subjects. The missive was read, and the condemned were pardoned. Evidently, the king said, it is fated that the handsome and witty Tsar Akidai and my beautiful daughter are to become husband and wife. Then the king treated the envoys and the brothers Simeon very well and sent his blessings with them, as he himself did not wish to go, being very old. The ship soon returned, and the Tsar Akidai rejoiced over it with his beautiful bride, and at once summoned the 7 Simeons, the 7 brave peasants. He said to them, Thanks, thanks, my peasants, my brave tillers of the soil. Take as much gold as you wish, take silver also, and ask for whatever is your heart's desire. Everything shall be given to you with my mighty hand. Would you like to become boyars? You shall be the greatest amongst the very great. Do you choose to become governors? Each one shall have a town. The first Simeon bowed to the Tsar and cheerfully answered, Thanks also to thee, Tsar Akidai Agayevich. We are but simple people, and simple are our ways. It would not do for us to become boyars or governors. We do not care for thy treasures either. We have our own Father's field, which shall always give us bread for hunger and money for need. Let us go home, taking with us thy gracious word as our reward. If thou choosest to be so kind, Give us thine order, which shall save us from the judges and tax gatherers. And if we should be guilty of some offence, let thyself alone be our judge. And do, we pray thee, pardon the seventh Simeon, our youngest brother. His trade is surely bad, but he is not the first and not the last one to have such a gift. Let it be as you wish, said the Tsar, and every desire was granted to the 7 Simeons, and each one of them received a big tumbler of strong green wine out of the hands of the Tsar himself. Soon after this, the wedding was celebrated. Now, honourable dames and gentlemen, do not judge this story of mine too severely. If you like it, praise it. If not, let it be forgotten. The story is told, and a word is like a sparrow. Once out, it is out for good. Blessed be people of earth, all sentient beings, all interdimensional entities of love, light, peace, honour, wisdom, abundance, benevolence, holiness, righteousness, kindness upon all of us mere mortals here at planet Earth. I bid you adieu. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening, night, morning, wherever you are, in the space-time continuum or in the known and unknown cosmos. Let there be peace in all realms, and let the Tanya have her way and her small little psychedelic dreamings and wish fulfillments at the appointed time with the right person, with harm to none and competition with none. And in the meantime, keep cool, Brisbane, Australia. Summer is well and truly upon us. Be of good cheer and live your best life, no matter what, no matter who, according to thy graces and abilities and wherewithals, and shine bright like diamonds, or USO submarines rising in and out of the waters, and princes and kings and mice and swans and silvery fishes, wasn't it? Well, it all makes for a wonderful tapestry of co-creationship upon our spiritual existences in these strange little bipedal bodies. Love to you all. Bye for now.